Coming up, John's experience at the Universal VIP Holiday Experience. Welcome to the SeeWDW Near and Far podcast, where we explore perspectives of the Walt Disney World Resort from 10 to 1,000 miles away. I am Mike, the far in this equation.
And I'm John, the near.
All right, today, John, we are going to talk about your VIP holiday experience. That was like a tour, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a 5-hour tour. And I actually heard about it on social media. Like I saw a reel that said, the Universal VIP holiday tour and, went through some clips and some information on what's included with it. And I thought to myself, I wonder why I never knew that this existed. So I really wanted to try it. So I ended up trying it. And it looks like it's still available. This is Universal's website as of now. And just so you know, it's $79.99 per person. Annual pass holders, I think, get maybe 15% off depending on the level. I think that's what I got off of it. So I purchased this for myself and my wife and my daughter. And let's see, the date for this was December 12th was the day that we went. And I'll start out with the fact that my ticket said, it said Universal's VIP holiday tour. So I did notice that now the website says Universal's holiday tour instead of VIP holiday tour. And I think I may know why that is, but we'll get into that. So we were told that we should get to the parks by 5:15, and I did not listen to this because I don't believe it. I know that they assume everybody is extremely incompetent, so they have to give you like a long period of time in order just to hope that people get there on time. So I can see from this photo, I got there at 5:44. So I'm already 30 minutes late as I'm entering. And by the time I got to the actual tour itself, where you check in, it was 6 o'clock. So I'm 45 minutes late. And this tour, it checks in where the old Blue Man Group was. And if you need something referenced even older than that, I think it used to be Nickelodeon Studios. So there's basically a big building to the left of Universal Studios. It's right to the left of Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. So as I'm standing there, I can watch Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket going around. And here's the thing, the line was all the way out near the Universal Globe. And, when I read this thing online, it said, that there's like 12 people in your group or something. And I looked and I'm like, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of people in this line. And so I was like, well, all right, we'll see what it is. And it turns out, and here you can see a little bit of the line heading in. And this is once I got closer, I took this picture. You can see, the line of people there. And just for reference, when you get around this bend, there is a queue here that goes up and down in front of the building. So, this, it's not just this what you see. And honestly, by the time I got way in there and was in the queue, I looked and this thing was refilled again. So this gives you an idea how many people are actually going. And that's what I was going to say. My thought was, how are they doing a VIP experience that's like 5 hours long for $80? I thought to myself, this is a mistake. And, somebody didn't price it properly. Well, when I got there and saw this, I was like, all right, now it makes sense. It's not VIP. There's not just you and 10 other people, because again, the reel that I saw made it sound like you had Zeus Landing to yourself. The Hogsmeade was empty except for you and your small group, and again, it was me and my small group and several hundred other people. And again, I'm almost thinking that this is why it's still not sold out, because I think as many people that would buy it, they would just keep adding to it. That's what I feel like. And again, I love Universal, but again, I'm kind of glad they took the VIP part off of this, because I was already complaining. By the time we got assigned to a group, let's see, 6:35. Yeah, it was probably around 6:40. We got assigned to our tour guide. So they did break it up into smaller groups of like 10 or 12 people per tour guide. So, that was a good thing. Just not exactly what I was thinking. So it made me think, though, if I got there at 5:15, the very first thing you do after getting assigned this tour guide, like they process everybody through. You have to go up to a ticket window and they give you wristbands. The next thing that they do is they walk you over to the Grinch show. I forget what it's called. It's the stage show at Universal where they do How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And just so you know, this starts at 7 p.m., the show. So they want you to show up at 5:15 and stand there for 1 hour and 45 minutes to go and get into the Grinch show here. And the reason I said VIP, like I was like, this is the opposite of VIP. I'm waiting 3 times longer to see the show, which I could have probably waited, 30 minutes for any time I wanted to see it. Like it's not a huge wait. They do it several times a day. And then as I got walked into this room, in my group, there were some people that had babies and strollers. And there were seats up front, so they started to seat them up front, and I was like, at least I'm going to get a front row seat. That's kind of cool. Like I never get front row seats at things like this. Well, they took everybody in my group sat up in the front except for my wife, my daughter, and myself. We were put back here where this is my view of the show. So again, this is not a terrible view, but it's not VIP. It's not special. It's simply a seat. And everyone else in my group was up here with right in front of where the Grinch comes out. So I was a little salty about that, because I'm basically spending a couple $100 mainly just to get some footage, and being up there would have been some cool footage to have for my social media, but I did not get it. And again, it was not a bad seat, but I took the end seat, which was the best of the 3. My wife basically had people's, it looked like this as usual, like a head in front of you. So again, this isn't my favorite show, so I really didn't care all that much. Like I wasn't like, oh no, the best show ever. But I did want to get some uh, footage that I could not normally get, and from the seat they gave me, it was just disappointing. And again, you can see here's somebody from my group, that had, there's one of the babies, and I'm glad the babies can see and stuff. But there were plenty of seats up front yet. But for some reason, my tour guide said, "You three, why don't you go? Here's 3 seats in the middle. Go there." And I was like, "Man, that's so weird." Like, again, it's just my luck. I didn't complain or anything. I just said, "Okay, I did it." And again, not every VIP, not all these tours were getting front seats. It just so happened that I got this close to being one of the lucky ones. I was like, maybe having babies in the group is a positive thing, It's like, maybe that works out. Anyway, allow me to complain about that for just 10 more minutes. Just kidding. Anyway,
well, let me say the theater looks like it's kind of flat, like it's not real sloped.
yeah, it's not that great to see over people's head in this theater. It's an older theater, so
okay.
But I wanted to say, it started out stand in a line for 1 hour and 45 minutes, and then see a show where you could have just saw the show with very little wait. So I'm like, this is not starting out VIP. This is starting out very slow, very, slowly check in. And again, as much as I criticize Disney, when there's like a party or something, the crowd just goes through. There's no standing there while they slowly, a couple people at a time, scan your thing and do it. It's basically just push through. So anyway, we saw the Grinch, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and again, I enjoyed it. From there, we went backstage over to the Universal Park, and the whole park was closed at this point. So we got to see, we got a little bit of views of the park, being empty. But the problem was you're not really allowed to walk around too much. You have to stay in the general vicinity because it's after hours at a theme park. And, this is good for pictures and stuff, but they are doing like work there. Like they had heavy equipment up and they were doing things at Rip Ride Rocket right next to us. And, like it's a working park. So it was pretty cool to be able to see this. Then they take you into Jimmy Fallon, which isn't the best ride, but I do enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Again, it's probably not one that people would request. I mean, if you could get like any ride with not much people or something, obviously it wouldn't be Jimmy Fallon. But so anyway, I rode Jimmy Fallon, and there were a few issues with it, but it wasn't. Again, I still didn't get a front row seat. There's barely, they filled this thing up because there's just so many people in this group. And what they do is they have several smaller groups, like a lot of them. And some people went and did the Islands of Adventure stuff, and some went to the other. And then as we changed, we crossed each other. So they're basically just moving people all over, which that's why I think it's still not sold out, because all they need is to keep adding tour guides in, and they can just keep adding more to this real easy, So anyway, after we saw Fallon, we got to go outside on the there's an outside balcony there. So, from there you can see, there's Rip Ride Rocket at night. This is the Universal Monsters diner that they closed down. You can see I could see over the construction fence a little bit that, everything's gone in there. This was the Universal Monsters Cafe. So that's kind of sad. And I do have to mention too that throughout this, the tour guide does give you facts. Like she tells you things behind the scenes. And, when we went between the buildings, I wasn't allowed to take pictures of it, but it's working studios, those buildings where they do all the HHN houses and stuff. And there was an entire setup for some kind of extreme wrestling or something like that. And including like the ring was in there, bleachers all around. It was a small sound studio for a wrestling event. So Universal actually does shoot stuff. And she said, there's constantly people there using New York Street, using the sound studios. Like it's a working studio there. And honestly, I tend to forget that. Once in a while you go and it says hot set. It's like, oh yeah. But she reminded us that even behind the scenes, there's a lot going on at Universal. Unlike Disney, I don't think they don't shoot anything there, but Universal, it's still used pretty much daily as a real studio to shoot things. So I did want to mention too, if you've ever had hashtag Panda wave to you at Universal from the upper building, my daughter pointed out that this is the window here. Like there's his there's his seat and there's the window. The hashtag leans out, waves to everybody. So that was pretty cool. It's like I said, I have some complaints and I have some some things that I thought were cool. Seeing that to me was kind of special. So I like to see where hashtag was. And the next thing was that this was on the second floor of the Jimmy Fallon building. We got to meet Santa Claus. And again, my daughter's an adult. We let everybody else go first. And we were the last people in our group to meet him. But was a very, very well done Santa. Like he had a British like accent, and he sure did know how to act like Santa Claus. So it was a very, very good Santa, and probably the only Santa meeting I'll be doing this year. So again,
He
I got
looks
to meet
good.
Santa.
Yeah, he looks good though. I mean,
Santa, and this gives you an idea what the room looks like. This is, and luckily they're blurred out because I don't want to put people on here anyway, but this is the family with the babies. And my goodness, they got some good pictures for them. So I have to say, this is a great way to see Santa. Like some of the pictures that this Santa got with this family, especially with the babies, these babies are going to probably see these like 20 years from now. And they're still going to be like, wow, some really good pictures of Santa and the babies. So again, I didn't take pictures of that, but this was just an establishing shot for what the room looks like. So, but again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do this or that you should, but I definitely had different expectations from when I did it. So the next thing we did, we went outside and, we got to do some pictures around the tree area around New York. And one good thing that we got to do as well, hold on a minute, I wanted to say, the tour guide told us all about Earl the Squirrel too. That the legend of Earl the Squirrel and how he came to be at Universal. And, basically there were lights out in the tree and it was a problem squirrel they had. And it turned into a running would actually put an animatronic in the tree of Earl the Squirrel. And you can see him there. He actually goes in and out, meaning he's not just there, he pops out and then they have him go back in. So you can't always see him, but that's my daughter in front of the tree. I think here you can see it. No, he didn't go in again. Well, anyway, Earl the Squirrel. And we got to, I forget, maybe like 20 or 30 minutes in the tribute store. And again, it's not with no crowds, but it's definitely less crowded. So, that was nice. Um, I know I don't get into my own stuff here too much, but that's the family picture in front of the uh, tree at Universal. And our tour guide took that shot.
Hmm.
So then go into the tribute store. And again, I think this is the first time I was there all year, so it was fairly exciting for me. It's definitely a good tribute store. It always is. So, and again, it was fairly empty, and a big part of the theme this year is Earl the Squirrel. But I think that's every year to a point. There's Earl's House of Nuts, but the it in this room though they do like a classic. They do a classic room, and then they do I guess what you would call like a Harry Potter room, where it's all white, snowy, and Englandy, and then they do a Zeus landing room, which is always nice too. There's a Grinch back there, and you can get your picture taken with the Grinch. And so anyway, overall, and then the next room is Earl the Squirrel, and there's a lot of classic Christmassy stuff in there too. You can see, and Universal always does with uh, a great job with this stuff. And I always say, Universal does a better job on their tribute store than, Disney's been doing lately with their hotels and rides, like it's more
Mm-hmm.
thoroughly themed. Like you could go into this, um, you could go into this tribute store 10 times and find stuff everywhere that you didn't even notice before because there's just so much going on in there. So much little stuff that like remember this from when you were a kid. There's one of the ceramic trees up there. It's like they just
Yeah.
do so much, and
I actually still
it
have
has such
one.
a vibe. Yeah, it's got such a vibe to it. So, but anyway, from there we had to wait for our whole party to check out, and so this is around 9 o'clock at this point. So it's 8:58. Um, from there we go backstage, and this is where I saw people crisscrossing, meaning some people were going over to the tribute store and Jimmy Fallon, and some people were going to Islands of Adventure. I was going to Islands of Adventure, and again, you're not really allowed to walk around Zeus Landing. If you go outside, you have to stay right around the Circus McGurkus. So anyway, we were told that you should probably see the Grinch right away because it's a difficult line. So here's the line for the Grinch: go around the place all the way
Hmm.
in there. It was a very long line. Let's see. I got in line around 9:15, and let's see when I got to meet the Grinch. 9:15, 9. Well, that's not too bad. It was about a 20-minute wait, so not as bad as I thought. But I guess it felt longer because we were all pretty hungry. So we got to meet the Grinch, and I have to say the people who play the Grinch at Universal, and this goes for all of it, they deserve probably more money than they most likely get because to be on that much, I mean, it ended up being like it's like 10 o'clock at night, and the Grinch still has a line, and I'm like, these guys work late hours, they work breakfast, they're just, and to be on that much, like yelling and making a commotion, and several times he walked around the whole place, like he left and came back, and he doesn't just leave and comes back. He goes behind people, yells at it, scares people. He interacts even during those parts, and so yeah, there's a picture Us with the Grinch. And again, this is cool pictures, and I probably would never normally wait for the Grinch. So I'm I am happy for these pictures. And then we also got to see Max, his
Huh.
dog. So, but I have to say, in each thing, just as we were getting close to the end, they stopped it, and then it was like time for the break. So again, that's just my luck. But I wanted to talk about the food though too, because this includes snacks and some food. And at this point, we were starving, and I have to say, yeah, this is 9:44. I think we're supposed to leave around 10, maybe. They had chicken and waffles, which I thought to myself, wow, chicken and waffles, that's good stuff. Well, you can see here, it is a chicken wing sitting on top of a waffle. So there's very, 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 very little actual chicken on this chicken. And getting it off without a fork was very difficult too. So the chicken and waffle was kind of a bust. Like my daughter ate a little bit of waffle and was like walked away. She wanted to get some curly fries. And here's a really dumb thing. You can't get curly fries unless they only come with these fried shrimp.
Hmm.
And it made me think, at first my daughter didn't get any, and I said, well, just get the fried shrimp then, we won't eat them. And then it made me think, they are probably throwing in the garbage so many tons of fried shrimp, because how many kids want fries but not shrimp?
Yeah.
Kids don't want shrimp. I'm not saying all, but many of them. And also, how many of this chicken is just thrown away too? I'm like, that is just such a. I would have rather had one chicken nugget, if you have to be that small about it, than this. Like nobody that was not even edible. The cookies were okay, not real tasty though. Like I wouldn't. If you gave me one now, it's not. They were just okay. They're not that great. Now, this is something like the Whoville tater pizza tots or something. This was actually really good. Pepperoni, sausage, cheese, tater tots, and sauce in there too, pizza sauce. That I really liked, and I would get that again. So if I went back to this thing again, I would skip the chicken and waffle. I don't know if I'd bother with that at all. I might get this for the curly fries, but I would definitely grab a few pizza tots. So this was the saving grace that really was tasty. Just all around, it was very good. I would eat that right now. This I would throw in the garbage. This I would throw most of it in the garbage, as I'm sure 90% of the people did. So again, why would you waste so much shrimp? It's like, because you don't pay for any of this stuff, it's included. So no one, my daughter, of course, was like, well, I didn't want the shrimp, so I didn't get it. But she learned quickly that
Hmm.
that's no, just get it. It's all included, because she was starving. But anyway, from there, let's see, it was around 10:06. So around 10 o'clock, they gathered us up from here, and we walked up towards Hogsmeade. They did mention something. The tour guide mentioned something interesting here. They said that this particular statue, which I've seen many, many times, is like the Greek god called like Narsi or Narcissus or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it comes from narcissist, like
Mm-hmm.
that's where they get the word from. And basically, this god is peering at their own reflection in the water, and I never noticed that before. So it's the reflection is in stone down
Oh,
here.
wow. Yeah, there it is.
There's the stone, and then you look up, and there it is there. I never noticed that. I've taken pictures and videos of this many, many times. never did I notice there's another statue in the water. So the tour guide, that definitely adds a value to it too. Like little stuff like that is really cool to know. I had no idea. So, the tour guide was nice to have along. Um, as we approached Hogsmeade, I quickly ran to the front of our group so it would look so I can get a couple of pictures that look like nobody's there. So let's see, it's going to be around 10:16 p.m. Now the only thing left to do is to watch the holiday nighttime show on the castle. So I was really hoping they would do it early because I don't like being out late. So we're walking around. You can walk around Hogsmeade. The only thing that's open is the place to get butterbeer and drinks. So I didn't do that. I just had a bunch of terrible food already. I wasn't in the mood for any more, you know, theme park drinks or anything. So I did get a lot of pictures and video around the house. So it's pretty cool to do. It's definitely not empty like they say it is, but it over time it got more and more filled as before the end came. But it turned out that they did not start this show until, let's see, what time was it here? That's at 10:30. Yeah, they started the show after 11.
Oh
And
my.
yeah, 11:05 is when it actually started. And the reason was they said that they won't start the show until people are done purchasing butterbeer. So I'm like, they don't want to leave any of that money on the table. So I'm like,
Hmm.
So again, I just really want the night to be over because I don't like being out late. And it's already 11 o'clock. And I'm, all the way at Islands of Adventure. But I have to say, this was pretty cool. I just can't get away from it. But it was still a good view, and it was nice to see the normal amount of people here is probably outrageous when this thing goes on, like wall to wall. So it was nice to be able to see that. And the show was over by like 11:15 ish. So we started walking back to City Walk. And I wanted to say too, since this is a tour, you are supposed to tip the tour guide. So, we
Mm.
went back and not everybody did, but technically they're supposed to get tips. So, although I can't blame people if they didn't too, but
They probably
I
don't
think
know. A lot of people probably don't know.
they know once they saw me give her cash, but
Hmm.
anyway, she did a good job. The things I did not like were not her fault. She did a great job. Her name was Kay. No matter what happened, she did great. And so, yeah, and here's a picture of the Universal's great movie escape building too in City Walk. I
Mm-hmm.
walked past
Brand
that.
brand new. That's brand new experience, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do it or not because my job is very problematic, meaning all I do is solve problems all day and this doesn't make sense. And I'm like, so for fun, I don't like to use my brain a lot. I'm not I'm if I had like a labor job, I might say, oh yeah, it's nice to use your brain and go figure some
Right.
stuff out. I'm sick of figuring stuff out by the time I'm done working. I want to not figure anything out. So I'm not really into escape rooms, but if you are, that sounds like a pretty cool one. But anyway, I guess the bottom line on this is I'm glad they took the VIP off of the uh, um, description of it because I have a feeling just like me, my ticket says VIP. And I go there, and the first thing you're supposed to do is wait in a line for an hour and 45 minutes. And then you get to the Grinch, and you have to wait 20 or 30 minutes to see the Grinch. And and then you have to wait to watch the thing. It's like, to me, waiting and not great seats are not what VIP is all about. VIP is you just do stuff. It's like, great. There's no, you don't wait much for anything. So, but they did take that away from it. But I assure you, my ticket said holiday VIP tour. So, and again, I'm glad they took it away, because when you start selling thousands of these for a day, it's like, it's not VIP anymore. It's just a tour. It's too big to be VIP. So,
Yeah, it's basically like an out after hours event, like you had said earlier, right? So
but I have to tell you though, mainly because of the food, and I don't like waiting. I don't like being out late at night. I probably won't do this one again.
mhm.
Um, it doesn't mean it's not good for everybody. If the stuff that we talked about appeals to you, then even seeing Santa Claus was a great experience. So if you have kids and stuff, it's still pretty cool. But waiting to see the Grinch, I mean, people wait all day to see the Grinch. So if you just want to see the Grinch, I would recommend the breakfast instead, which is cheaper, and we will talk about that next week.
Mhm. Let me ask you the Hogwarts show, the Hogwarts Castle show.
Yep.
Did they do that special just for this tour? They did.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Okay.
park is long closed. So, yep. It's just
Yeah.
for
Well,
this tour.
that's what I figured. Looking at your times and everything. So that's pretty interesting. They actually included that as part of your tour.
Yep. Yeah.
That can't be the cheapest thing in the world to, shoot off fireworks and things
Well,
like that.
just so
So,
you know, I think that's all the fireworks there are. There's
okay.
not a lot of them. It's mostly projections and music. So
Okay.
the fireworks part is just at the end, a little. Psh. So, if it was a real fireworks show, man, they'd be losing money probably.
No,
So luckily
I would
it's
think
just one
so.
explosion, which I'm sure is not free or anything. And they have to pay the guys to come in and the people in charge of, like, oh, that's a specialty thing. They don't just let any team member set off fireworks. So
Right.
it's I'm sure it does cost, but yeah, I think honestly it would have made it more special if they did something like open Hagrid's.
Hmm.
I'd probably be like, you got to do it. This is worth it. You know what I mean? Because with that amount of people there, you probably could have rode Hagrid's like 10 times or something. So if they would just add something like that to it, I'd probably go back every year, or even at least open up Forbidden Journey, just so you could take a slow walk through the queue and really get a feel of how it's meant to be with low
Yeah.
crowds. Because you either run past or you just sit.
Right.
I'd love a slow walk to look and be like, oh, there's Dumbledore, there's Harry Potter and Hermione and Ron, and just slowly go through like it was meant to be. So if they did something like that, they need to add a little bit more to the rides as far as I'm concerned. And some of that food was just so bad. It really was. Like, just my daughter felt nauseous from even looking at that stuff. Like, she thought it was just awful. There was pretty much nothing there except for some curly fries and pieces of waffle that, and like I said, she didn't even, I think she made the mistake of not eating earlier and was just very hungry, and then when presented with just really bad food, it just, I don't know. It did
Let me
not.
say the chicken and waffles over at Endless Summer Dockside are pretty good, and they don't look like what you had on that
Oh, they're not
plate.
bone-in chicken though, are they? Or are they?
Yeah, they are,
They are?
but they give you nice sized portions, and they're actually they're pretty good. I will say
It
that.
just didn't work out well for that. And again, this is all just my opinion, and I'm not telling anybody don't do it, but
Hmm.
I'm just saying, unless it changes, I probably won't do it next year.
Hmm.
It's not that appealing to me. And I'll give you a little spoiler. I would do the Grinch again. I got a lot of complaints about the Grinch breakfast, but I would do that again, probably. But I still
Okay.
got a lot of complaints.
Well,
which
we will find that out next week because that's exactly what we're going to cover next week. This is, holiday offerings and, around the Universal Resort. We talk so much about Disney and all the Disney holiday Christmas offerings. And it's really refreshing to see that Universal is doing something,
yep.
doing something special. And I don't, obviously, it doesn't necessarily match what Disney is doing yet, but they're kicking the door in a little bit. They're getting their foot in the door. So I imagine, I know they're running surveys right now, John, about after hour events at Universal for their marketing efforts.
Yeah, I think that
So,
this is probably the first introductory test of what could they possibly do. So yeah, it's a good test, but again, as much as I love Universal, this you can't compare this to the Mickey's Very Merry or Christmas Party, because I mean that costs twice as much, but it's got fireworks, parades, loads of rides, and just overall so
yeah,
much more. So
yeah,
again,
it's
I
a
hate to say it, and again, next week, a little spoiler: the breakfast is probably a better value than what you get at Disney, but
mhm.
this, if you can get into the Christmas party, it's probably you know worth it in comparison. So
Yeah, for a holiday event. I'm just saying there's probably not much. I mean, they're trying to do two different things, so to speak, with what they're offering you, but I sort of think there's demand at Universal for doing something as you described,
yeah,
similar to that. And I could definitely see them doing something around the Harry Potter stuff. Like, one of the movies has, some Christmas scenes in it. And you could do some really amazing things with the Harry Potter stuff around Christmas. You could do it
well,
and the park in general.
well,
You could do
when
some great
Epic
things.
Universe comes online, there's a good chance they've been experimenting with this and looking at what Disney does and how much money they make. They
Hmm.
might have it set up that they could do a Christmas party that has parades and maybe fireworks and all kinds of stuff too once that's open. But this they're not currently set up for it the same as Disney. But
Yeah.
the new park is going to be awfully big, so
Yeah, it looks
I
like a
wouldn't be
big park.
surprised.
It also has a hub and spoke layout by the look of it, so
Mhm.
that'll be very friendly to such an event. So, all right, John, it was great. You seem to have a so-so time. There was some good stuff and some not so good stuff, or maybe frustrating stuff to some degree, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad I did it, but
yeah, well, that's good. That's all that matters. All right. How did your social media go this week, John?
um, well, this time of year is kind of slow for social media. So, I mean, let's see, I haven't had anything too big take off recently, but I can say over the past few weeks, I did a launch for Rock and Roller Coaster, which went over 100,000, which that's been good for me at least lately. And I think the other one for this bonus period is my Splash Mountain, my 90 seconds on Splash Mountain, which did pretty well too. Although I don't know where the heck that is. So anyway, I've had a few over 100,000. Like here's a Space Mountain at night, over 100,000. Um, this one's not mine, but 4K theme park video. He went over 100,000 on that. I have another 100,000 Space Mountain video. So, I've had a few this month that went over 100,000, but I still hit that. I think it's 162,000. It's like I never go above a certain amount. It hits the ceiling and going across. So, and as far as my what is it? My universal one. I am up to 111,000 on there,
Hmm.
and I'm still at 109,000 on my Disney account. So it literally is continuing to surpass. So that's a good thing. But lately, though, my Universal's not been doing that great either. Like it feels much more suppressed than it was. And what I mean by that is individual videos. I used to get huge views on a lot of them, and just recently, it's really dropped on here. I'm still getting a lot of views on old videos, like meaning like from more than 30 days ago. I'm still getting good views on that. But my new ones, I'm getting a lot. Like here's the Grinch, 8,700 views for this
Hmm.
account. That is low, like very low. Um, and you know things like Haggard's used to get hundreds of thousands. Now it's in the 30s. I've done Poseidon's Fury stuff before, hundreds of thousands. Now it's about 28. It's like these I would um, Dudley do rights. Almost every time I would post that would get a million views. Yeah, it's 40 some thousand. It's like here's Jurassic River. That would be really popular too. 17,000. It's like it's just weirdly low the amount of views I'm getting on here. The last good one that I did, it's 363,000. You know, this is probably a couple weeks ago. And again, it's just a Haggard's video, but compared to what these things used to be, it's just weird. Like I used to do so well on here, but again, Facebook needs money too, so I don't know. Everybody's views are going down, I guess. But I did want to mention, I forget who it was. I was doing some research, and there were some. Oh, I know what it was. You ever hear of like WDW, best day ever? Like, I used to hear that name a lot, and I clicked on one once, like a recommended, and I'm like, wow, they have like 350,000 or something like that, and they have a blue check mark, and I'm like, wow, these guys are big. I wonder what they're doing that I'm missing, you know? And I clicked on their reels, and most of their reels are like 3,000, 5,000, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm destroying them on views when it comes to reels. So it little stuff like that makes me look and be like, I'm in pretty good shape. There's people 3 times bigger than me that everybody knows that they're not getting views at all compared to me. I'm doing even better than they are. So I try to keep it in perspective with things like that. That there's some accounts that have like 1 million followers that my reels views are comparable to, you know. So
Hmm.
again, bad for them, good for me. We meet in the middle. It's all right. And I did want to say my face or my TikTok, I had not really even been trying much on there lately. Like you said, I think the government they keep talking about banning TikTok again. But anyway, my last two never even hit 1,000 views. So
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
these are the only 2 months that have not hit that are that low. So
they got
yeah, what are you
banned
going to
on government devices, from what I understand, and I wonder if that's why a lot of people are taking hits on their TikTok views. Maybe because of that. I don't know that, but I know that they were working on legislation and may have even passed it by now
and
to ban it from government devices. So.
and just to let everybody know, in addition to doing these live podcasts, I have been doing a lot of shorts on YouTube as well too. So
Hmm.
even if you don't like one thing or the other, shorts is kind of just like my basically like TikTok or Reels on Instagram. So I'm trying to do a lot of shorts, so they will keep you updated, probably with even more stuff than my Instagram would, where you get glimpses of like this is from the Christmas party. You can see snow on Main Street and all that. So just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
it's
just
great
wanted to
content.
remind everybody that I keep hearing that YouTube is the future of short term video too. So
It
we'll
may
see.
be.
It's
I don't know.
not doing anything for me yet, but we'll see.
They have the infrastructure, that's for sure. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but so yeah, that's about it.
All right. Where can they find you online, John?
You can find me at SeeWDW on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and SeeWDW on YouTube, and C.UO on Instagram and Facebook.
All right. And you can find me at the Giant Rat, THEE Giant Rat, on Instagram and on TikTok. For those that celebrate, have a great Christmas. And, those that don't, enjoy whatever you enjoy out of the holidays. And we will see you on the next one.